Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move this week. I'm Tim Stenevec with Isabel Lee. We're joined by Bloomberg News earnings reporter, Red Brown. Red, what do you have on your radar for the week that was?
First on my radar is Palantir, had another great week. That ticker is PLTR. It's up 8% right about now, and it's been on a 3-week winning streak. It's kind of been on a winning streak all year. It's the best performing stock in the S&P 500. It's already doubled, and we're only in July. So it's doing pretty well, I'd say. I
can't believe this is a $362 billion market cap company.
And on a revenue of $1 billion, less than $1 billion a quarter. So the valuation's just out of control, but apparently not, because people are still piling in, as you can see from results this week.
What about Citi?
Citi, yes. Citi, I wanted to bring up Citi just because of the week that we just had, with all of the bank earnings coming out. Citi, best performing for the week for the 6 big banks, the big U.S. banks, up 7%, 7.8%, excuse me, at the moment for the week. And that's really off the back of just kind of, there was lofty expectations heading into the reports, I think. People were expecting trading to do quite well, and Citi still blew it out of the water. Fixed income desk posted revenue of $4.3 billion. Analysts were expecting $3.9 billion. And again, that was an optimistic number. People were expecting them to do well. And then we also had strong results from JP Morgan. They raised their outlook for the year. So so banks really still benefiting from the tariff volatility, things like that. So strong results, strong start to the earnings season for at least that sector.
A lot of news around Citi this week. It wasn't just that shares rose to the highest since 2008 on earnings and that stock buyback plan. That's pretty wild. You go back to 2008, now it's the highest since then. That was a long time ago. And we all know the history of Citi during the financial crisis. But then also, just a day later, Citigroup poached 2 senior JP Morgan bankers in a hiring push. They hired Aloke Gupte as the global co-head of ECM, and then JP Morgan's Alex Watkins as head of tech financing. So a lot of news around Citi this week.
Yeah, it feels like finance in general is just it's always competitive, obviously, but it does feel like things are really heating up. And it's not always that way. Banks can sometimes be a difficult stock to trade, but at the moment, it just feels like kind of all systems go across Wall Street.
We like Red Brown because he kind of brings us stocks we don't talk about each and every day. For example, Centene is one of the ones for this week in your stock movers.
It is. Centene, the ticker is CNC. It's probably been flying under a lot of people's radar. They probably would like to keep it that way because they're the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 for the year. They fell 11% this week. That follows up a 38% drop that had already suffered earlier in the month. And that is, they're not alone in kind of feeling this pain. Their entire this is a sector-wide story for them. So Elevance Health, United Health, Molina Healthcare, they're all struggling through higher healthcare costs at the moment. And this, I was reading the story before I came to the studio today, and our healthcare report has been all over this story, and this stat really stood out to me. This group of 4 companies have shed $300 billion since mid-April in market cap. So the sector is really, really struggling. And now investors are kind of the reason for the current sell-off is just investors are starting to really contemplate that this group might never return to the growth levels that they've been used to.
Never is sad, but Centene is a $13 billion company, and a quick look at the terminal shows a couple of brokers really cutting their price target from Truist to Oppenheimer. So you're right. It's just not been a good time for Centene.
And like other companies in the space, Centene does Medicaid and Medicare health plans, treatment compliance, nurse triage, a multi-line healthcare solutions provider.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.